Hey, it's Archer, and this is my second week update since the Martin car came out. The Martin car actually came out right here. So I'm at the pit that you may have heard me talking about. Now, I made another update video for the second week, and I realized that most of it was a close-up of my ear, and it just didn't. I realized I'm not that good at making videos, so I'm gonna give it another try. Yeah, so we're at the pit. So the pit is an area, but see how this is curved right here? So there used to be a giant iron door here, and it goes across to this side. So two doors would come together and they would close against this curved wall on the bottom. The wall is down here. This is about 40 feet deep. So this canal, so I'm at the Cascade Locks today, right? So that's where we are. So you can see behind me, this is the canal that goes through. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of doors here. 2 of them out this way, and this is towards Portland. This is to the west. 2 of them are underwater still. One is open and one is closed. And right about the end of that island, you can see the water kind of changes its texture right about there. That's because the water is going up over those doors. So those doors feature in my one-man show that's coming up because I almost died on those doors. But here is where the pit is, and here is where the Martin car ended up. So I'm gonna zoom out a little bit here if I can. Cannot. So the area, it goes from 40 feet deep up here to 60 feet deep to 40 feet briefly, then 60 again. So there's this wall that's 20 feet high. That's what defines the pit. So that's where we are. That's where the car is. And you can see the amount of current, I think, coming around this corner. It's quite a bit of water, kind of a lot of boiling there. It's a lot of water, and we're not even to spring thaw yet. We're still a ways out. So some of this, yeah, you can see it's nice. These are fishing platforms for native fishermen who use these for salmon. So not a lot's happened since the last time. Not a lot's happened at all. I'll be talking to the police this week. Hopefully give you some updates if I can. And yeah, so I've got a show coming up on April 16th. That's going to be a one-man dramatic show. It's about an hour long that I've written. I think it's a pretty good script, and it's got live music, and that's going to be at the Columbia Center for the Arts in Hood River. And but you don't have to be there because it's going to be live streamed also. There's tickets for both, and it's a fundraiser for a local charity that I'm a part of, which is the Gorge Rebuild It Center. So we try to keep things out of the landfill and it's kind of a repository for good building materials and household goods and things like that, so they don't get in the dump. So that's coming up. Tickets are about $25. It's going to be great. Live music. It's going to be multimedia at a theater. So I'm excited about it. That's April 16th, 7:30 p.m. Okay, so now I'm about most of the way. So here you can see the pit is back there. So here's the question, or I get a question a lot, like how did the Martins end up in the river? So you're gonna have to go back in time with me a little bit. This footbridge right here, this footbridge wasn't put in until the 70s. And there's a railing too up there. There's a railing, I'll walk this way, on the other side of the footbridge where there was no railing there. You could just drive in. So this little taller area, you see where there's right in that, there's a fishing platform there. You could park your car right there, and you still can, but there was no stops. There was no stops for parking lots. There was no railing. So, and back then, this parking lot down here didn't exist. It was just this upper area. So people would go like they do today, and they'd walk around and look at the place. It's a nice park. And I think they just accidentally drove off that wall, which is like 20 feet. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 feet high at this point. So it would have been 5 feet lower than that in the 50s. So I'll give you a little moment to look. So right there, you can see some cars parked, a white car right there. So that's where they would have accidentally gone in. And we don't know how, and we don't know anything, how that happened. But then I believe that they probably sat right here 40 feet down for December. So that was December 7th, 58. Then December, January, February, March, April, May, 6 months later, the current starts coming through here. So the current's like 4 times bigger at that time of year because the snow melt is coming through. So the car, which was here, now started rolling down the canal And then that's where the two, Gina and Sue, the two smallest girls, floated out because the back was broken open or the windows were broken. But the others were, I think, in seatbelts. They were all the way down until the car entered the pit. And then once it's in the pit, that's it. You know, that's not going any further than that. So that's where that's how I found the car, was knowing about the pit and figuring out that they basically drove off here accidentally. And then 6 months later, the car starts moving, boom, boom, boom. And the fisherman actually was standing right down there past those cars and saw them at 6 a.m. Thank goodness he saw them float right by, just right by. And he knew they were bodies, and he could even tell they were little girls' bodies. So, and then he reported it. And so anyway, that's that catch up. What else am I going to tell you about? Yeah, I'm always interested in more questions, but my performance is the next big thing, and then the book. So I'm working with Ian Costello, a journalist who's pretty familiar with the Martin case. He actually is you know, as you saw in the video, he's a conspiracy guy, or he was, about this case. And I think I've convinced him, I can finally convinced him by giving him part of the car that it was probably an accident. I mean, they still could have been murdered and thrown in here. It's an easy place to get rid of a car. So we don't know until we know. I always believed it was an accident, and hopefully we'll see if that's right. Other questions? So yeah, for 7 years I've been working here for 3 years. Mostly I parked the boat right in that little door cove there. We have a boat, and that's where the dredge goes down, and then the dredge goes down 40 feet and then over about 45 feet. And the digging areas, yeah, it's just on the Oregon side. So this is called Thunder Island I'm on. And did I mention, I don't think I talked about why this canal is here. This canal is here because there's, on the Washington side, this is Oregon and this is Washington on the other side of me. There was a massive landslide that came down here about 1,000 years ago, they think. It closed the Columbia River off. The river rose like a couple hundred feet for maybe up to 10 years. Then eventually it undermined it, overflowed it, and the water got back through. But what it did was the landslide boulders, the stuff that the river couldn't move, being they were too big, remained across the river. So there's this one section of river, it's like a mile long. And remember, this is not the whole Columbia River. The Columbia actually goes around this island. The 90% of the river, 95% of the river goes around here. It's not in this canal. But all those boulders from the landslide stayed, and that became the Cascades. And this whole mountain range is named after that, because Lewis and Clark called this the Cascades, and then this became the Cascade Mountains, this whole area. So that's why that's why people, European settlers, when they came here, needed to cut through, because the waterfall was so big, you would have to take a boat here, offload everything off the boat, put it on a train, go a couple miles, then put it on another boat in order to get 20, 30, 40 miles further east. So it really opened up the Pacific Northwest interior by having a canal where one boat could leave all the way to the Pacific Ocean, basically, and come here and then change levels based on these doors being shut. So you'd shut two sets of the doors, you'd raise or lower the water of that little pond, and then you'd open up the doors. If you were going this way, you'd open up higher and you'd be at that level. So as you can see, I'm not great at making these videos technically, but if anybody's interested in getting a tour of the locks and to walk around with me here, and if you're local to the area, I would love to do that. We could do that as a kind of a fundraiser for the Cascade Locks Museum, which is actually right there. We would do come up with a price, then all that money would go to the museum, and I could give you like a really in-depth tour of my models and all the stuff that's still here that most people don't know about the locks. So love to do that. If you're in the area, let me know and I can help arrange that, or you can call Janice at the museum. She's the director there. All right. So appreciate your interest in the Martin case. And like I said, the book's going to be great. I think I got off topic with the book, but yeah, Ian is working on the book right now. We're really thinking it's going to be something good. So let you know that'll probably be in the fall. And thanks for your interest. Stay tuned.